Alrighty, so she's just been getting pushed around by William, not really standing up for herself. And now we're going to learn a little bit more about Margot too. So paragraph 28. And then, of course, the biggest crime of all was that she had come here only 5 years ago from Earth. And she remembered the sun and the way the sun was and the sky was when she was 4 in Ohio. And they had been on Venus all their lives, and they had been only 2 years old when the last sun came out and had long since forgotten the color and heat of it and the way it really was. But Margot remembered. So why else do the kids not like her?
Because they know that she's the only one who remembers how the sun feels and stuff like that. So they're basically jealous.
Good job. John, were you going to add to that too?
Yeah, I was going to say that she was the only one that saw the rain and she remembers.
Good. She's the only one who's seen the sun and remembers it because they were 2 and she only came to Venus about 5 years ago. So she actually just came recently from Earth and has a much better memory of the sun. So let's highlight in here because they talk about it being the biggest crime. What do they mean by that? Why are they calling it the biggest crime? Well, I call it the biggest crime because how did the kids feel, other kids feel about it?
They feel jealous.
Mm-hmm. So
they feel like it's unfair.
Right. This is one of the biggest reasons why they're jealous and why they hate her so much. So the biggest reason hating Margot that she knows or about the sun. So to them, this is the worst thing. This is the biggest crime is that she knows more about the sun than they do. So what was a theme we said yesterday that we kind of got from the way the other kids treat her and from this section too? What's a theme of this story? Did we talk about this yesterday? Well, either way, so how do the other kids feel towards Margot? What's the word we just said? They're what?
Jealous.
Yeah, they're extremely jealous. So what could a theme of this story be?
Jealousy.
Yeah, good job. So we could say jealousy is a big theme of this story, right? The fact that these other kids hate her for what she's experienced and what she seems to know. Because she does have experience of the sun. And in fact, yesterday we talked about how she was comparing it to a flower and how she seemed to know that today was going to be the day it came out. She seems a little bit more informed than they are because of her experience, and that makes them crazy, makes them jealous. So a theme of this story so far would be jealousy. And Margot's character is the one that is kind of revealing that, Margot and William. Because William cannot stand it. So right now we're gonna be in paragraph 29.
But Miss, why they mad? Why they mad that she know better about the sun? Why do they care?
Because they haven't seen it forever. Like they saw it when they were 2, but they didn't remember it. So they've never really experienced it. And they're just being little rotten kids. Like they are only 9 years old. And you're right. Like, why is it that big of a deal? But if she has seen something and experienced something that they're all wanting, then they're just jealous and they're just taking on her.
I understand that that's the point of the story, but they ain't gotta bully her like that.
For real, they're doing too much.
Just wait. Do you remember what they do from reading it earlier? Don't tell, but do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I remember.
I'm like, are you guys serious? Why would you do that?
Horrible. I know. It's kind of a depressing story, but it is a good one to look at the description and the theme and the mood.
So Margot deserves better.
She really does. Okay. It's like a penny, she said once, eyes closed. No, it's not, the children cried. It's like a fire, she said, in the stove. You're lying, you don't remember, cried the children. But she remembered and stood quietly apart from all of them and watched the patterning windows. And once, a month ago, she had refused to shower in the schoolroom showers, had clutched her hands to her ears and over her head, screaming the water mustn't touch her. So after that, dimly, dimly, she sensed it. She was different, and they knew her difference and kept away. So why does she have this little episode in like the shower where she is clutching her hands to her ears and over her head? Why do you think she'd act like that? She had refused to shower, clutching her hands in her head. She's screaming that she mustn't touch the water.
Maybe.
Wait, so they don't take a shower there?
Yeah, they have like showers at their school.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, dang, they don't take a shower.
They do. They pet her. Why do you think she doesn't want to, though?
Maybe she thinks it's like the rain.
Yeah, it's very similar to her idea of the rain and her experience with it. And how does she feel about the rain? Her especially.
Like she doesn't really like it. Yeah.
She doesn't like it, and it depresses her. It makes her like extremely unwell. Like even the thought of it, remember, really just destroys her, which is why her appearance as a person is so, frail and depressed looking, because she clearly is just miserable. Okay, so now we're in paragraph 34. There was talk that her father and mother were taking her back to Earth next year. It seemed vital to her that they do so, though it would mean the loss of thousands of dollars to her family. And so the children hated her for all of these reasons of big and little consequence. They hated her pale snow face, her waiting silence, her thinness, and her possible future. So again, that last line gives us what we call that direct characterization of Margot. Some of these things we talked about yesterday, that she's very pale, she's very thin and frail, and she's also very shy and quiet. Remember, they compared her voice to a ghost. Why else are the kids jealous and hating on her? Carlos, do you know why the kids are jealous of her here? What's another reason?
I know.
I'm looking in paragraph 34.
All right. So what might be another reason why they hate her?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because like
They hate her because of her experience with seeing in 34, why they're...
I mean, if she's moving back to Earth, then she'll get to see the sun, and they won't.
Exactly. So another reason is because there's talk of her going back to Earth next year, which means you're right. She would get away from this horrible kind of environment they're all living in, and she would get to be back, in the world with the sun.
I mean, she needs it.
She does need it. She needs to get away from these crazy people.
Yeah, she really needs it.
But again, just another reason. Hi, AJ.
I don't need it. I would love to go on a vacation on another planet.
You're going to go to Mars?
I'm sick of this coronavirus.
Do you think Venus is much better? You'd go to Venus?
No, I would go to Mars.
I'd go to Mars too. There's actually a good show on Netflix about the people who go try and live on Mars.
Yeah.
Fiction show.
I'm trying to figure out if humans can go on there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll send you guys. We'll send Milani.
Bet, miss. I'd love to go on a vacation.
Yeah, send all of us.
No,
I hate
we discuss subjects. We'll go to Mars and try it out.
Yay.
Yeah, I don't know. The only one I'd probably go to is I'd go to the moon and then go to Mars. I don't know if this is what they think Venus is like. I don't know if I'd like it very much.
Yeah, I would not go to Venus.
Miss, what if we bump into some aliens?
New friends.
John will talk to them for us. He'll sing to them.
What if we see
their translator
there? What if we see E.T.?
Oh yeah, he'll be there too.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'll maybe send you guys first. Let me know how it is, and then I'll join.
No, Meg. You have to come with us.
If we're going to Mars, then yes. Venus, I don't want any of this brain nonsense or bullies, especially William.
Especially William.
He is the worst. What was I gonna say?
What are we doing?
We're on Common Lit. Reading the last part of All Summer in a Day. So the link is in the chat. And we're on paragraph 35. So by the time you get here, probably around 40. Alrighty, let's see what happens to poor Margot here. This is the worst part.
Damn.
Yeah, she needs to give it to him. She needs to give it right back.
Legally blind. Wait,
Get away, the boy gave her another push. What are you waiting for? Then, for the first time, she turned around and looked at him, and what she was waiting for was in her eyes. Well, don't wait around here, cried the boy savagely. You won't see nothing. So what's she waiting for? Say it out loud. What's she waiting for?
Stuff to get out the way.
What is in her eyes? That look in her eyes. She's desperate for what? What is she waiting for?
The sun?
The sun. Yep, it's all she wants. And stupid little William says,
like she knows it's about to come.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, move. I need to go.
Her lips moved. Nothing, he cried. It was all a joke, wasn't it? He turned to the other children. Nothing's happening today, is it? They all blinked at him and then, understanding, laughed and shook their heads. Nothing, nothing. Oh, but, Margot whispered, her eyes helpless. But this is the day. The scientists predict. They say they know the sun. All a joke, said the boy and seized her roughly. Hey, everyone, let's put her in a closet before teacher comes. No, said Margot, falling back. Oh, William, you're just horrible. Horrible human.
No, William.
Ugh.
No.
Let's put her in a closet. Like, come on. Cruel.
Like, are you serious?
I want you guys to listen to this next part and think about the mood. So the mood has been pretty much the same from start to finish, or start to this point. So I think you'll be able to identify it, no problem. But this paragraph specifically has a lot of words in it that cue us into what the whole mood and vibe of this story have been so far. So listen closely, and then we're going to talk about mood. They surged about her, caught her up, and bore her, protesting, and then pleading, and then crying, back into a tunnel, a room, a closet, where they slammed and locked the door. They stood looking at the door and saw it tremble from her beating and throwing herself against it. They heard her muffled cries. Then, smiling, they turned and went out and back down the tunnel, just as the teacher arrived. So what are some words?
Jesus Christ, they're so evil.
They're so evil. So what is the mood of this whole story, and especially in this paragraph? What do you guys think? What's the vibe of this story? What is the tone the author is setting?
If I don't answer it within like 2 seconds, somebody else could answer it, because
I bet everyone could figure this out. So think in general, like obviously we know this isn't a happy story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in our other stories, we always used to be like, oh, it's mysterious or it's suspicious.
Yeah, it kind of turned dark right there.
Yeah, it's pretty dark, and it's not just like dark as in evil. The kids are definitely being cruel and evil, but think about in here, we have someone who is protesting and pleading and crying. So I'm going to put these words in purple for a minute. Hi, Brianna. So we have someone protesting, pleading, crying, trembling and beating and throwing herself, muffled cries. So it is dark right now because they're being so cruel, but what is the whole mood of this story? Up above, Margot just looked helpless. What do you guys
Is
think?
it about like the mood of the whole story, or like everybody?
Yeah, so far even. I think especially it's clear in the paragraph, but yeah, as a whole, what is the mood then?
It's very suspicious.
Is it suspicious?
Suspenseful.
How come it's suspenseful?
Because all the kids, they just want to see the sun. I mean, Margot wants to see the sun, and she's just telling the kids that the sun is coming. So it's kind of like suspenseful, like, oh, the sun is coming. She might be right, she might be wrong. You never know.
Okay, I can see that as being something. It might be more of like a supporting one, that it's the way you're feeling, obviously. So the mood, if that's how you're feeling, you're reading it, I totally can get behind that. But I want you to think about how the author wants us to feel when reading it too. What is the mood they're trying to create for us with their tone and their diction? Think about the words I just highlighted up on my screen and what we've talked about in terms of them, obviously bullying her and making her feel that sense, that jealousy that is present. Like, this clearly is not a heartwarming story. So look at those words I was highlighting. It'd be a much different tone, for instance, or sorry, mood, if we had something here about how they walked with her to the closet door and pushed her inside, and she fell onto the floor and was tearing up. Like, it would still be sad, but what is happening here? We have this, what kind of sadness? Can we agree we have a sad story happening?
Yeah.
So what kind of words could we use to sum up how we feel when we read it? What is the mood that's being created? I heard someone say at the beginning that it's dark. So let's start there. It definitely is dark. But what's a word that could mean some version of sad?
Depressing.
Yeah, depressing would work. Have you guys ever heard this word, melancholy?
Yeah.
You know what that means?
No, I've heard of it though.
Wrong, is it A?
I was gonna say that.
Why didn't you?
Because I was too slow to
No.
say it. I was gonna be like Miss whatever.
Sorry, maybe I didn't give you enough time. Or do you have another one you can think of? There's another one. There's a few more I have too. So melancholy is just another word. It doesn't just mean sad. It means like this kind of deep sadness. So in this case, numbing. Okay. Another one I think of is this word solemn, which kind of means like this dark sadness. So we want to just be careful here. Obviously, we kind of came to the conclusion it's not a happy story. It's not some wicked, mysterious story. It is a sad story. So the mood throughout is this kind of sad mood, but we can definitely, as eighth graders, think of words that are a little bit more powerful than just sad, because the tone is a little bit more powerful than just being, oh yeah, that's sad. Like, it really is very melancholy and very solemn and dark at times, especially without that sun, right? So think about how the author's trying to create this mood with their tone throughout the story, because it continues on. So now we're in paragraph 45. Ready, children? So this is the teacher now who's just arrived. She glanced at her watch. Yes, said everyone. Are we all here? Yes. The rain slackened. They crowded to the huge door. The rain stopped. It was as if in the midst of a film concerning an avalanche, a tornado, a hurricane, a volcanic eruption, something had first gone wrong with the sound apparatus, thus muffling and finally cutting off all the noise, all of the blasts and repercussions and thunders, And then second, ripped the film from the projector and inserted in its place a peaceful tropical slide which did not move or tremor. So this is kind of a John, I want you to take a guess at this one, or tell me, not even a guess. So right now they're looking out the window. What are they comparing what's occurring to? So they're looking out the window and the weather starts to change. And what do they compare that experience to? This is in 52. Any idea?
Huh?
I asked John, but now if someone else wants to help out too, I don't know, John, if John heard me. But in 52, what are they comparing the experience to? They're looking out the window in their classroom, and what are they comparing the changing weather to watching? See where I'm looking, John, AJ? Either one of you guys want to step in and answer?
At first, it was like a big storm and thunder and everything. Then, when the rain stopped, it became like a peaceful tropical slide.
Yeah, so they're definitely talking about all these different types of weather, but what are they comparing the experience to watching? Not just watching the weather, but
A film.
yeah, they're comparing this whole experience, and I want you guys to highlight this in green for our figurative language here. This whole experience is like watching a film. So they're peering through their classroom window and they're comparing it to watching a movie where imagine you have all these horrible, loud, powerful storms happening, such as an avalanche, a tornado, a volcano. And then, make sure you're muted. Make sure you're muted, guys, unless you're talking. So they're comparing it all to watching these storms happen, and then slowly the sound starts to become muffled, then all noise gets cut off, and then it's like this new screen just appears with a peaceful tropical view and sound to it. So think about the sound they're hearing too. They're so used to that pounding of the rain that we talked about yesterday, and all of a sudden it begins to muffle off, and then it's just silent. So they're comparing this whole experience of the weather changing to watching peacefulness. Alrighty, so here comes the sun. The world ground to a standstill. The silence was so immense and unbelievable that you felt your ears had been stuffed or you had lost your hearing altogether. The children put their hands to their ears. They stood apart. The door slid back and the smell of the silent, waiting world came into them. The sun came out. It was the color of flaming bronze and it was very large, and the sky around it was a blazing blue tile color. And the jungle burned with sunlight as the children, released from their spell, rushed out, yelling, into the springtime. Now, don't go too far, called the teacher after them. You've only 2 hours, you know. You wouldn't want to get caught. But they were running and turning, their faces up to the sky, and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm iron. They were taking off their jackets and letting the sun burn their arms. Oh, it's much better than the sun lamps, isn't it? Much, much better. They stopped running and stood in the great jungle that covered Venus, that grew and never stopped growing tumultuously, even as you watched it. It was a nest of octopi, clustering up great arms of flesh-like weed, wavering, flowering this brief spring. It was the color of rubber and ash, this jungle from many years without sun. It was the color of stones and white cheeses and ink, and it was the color of the moon. The children lay out, laughing, on the jungle mattress and heard it sigh and squeak under them, resilient and alive. They ran among the trees, they slipped and fell, They pushed each other. They played hide and seek and tag, but most of all, they squinted at the sun until the tears ran down their faces. They put their hands up to that yellowness and that amazing blueness, and they breathed of the fresh, fresh air and listened to the silence, which suspended them in a blessed sea of no sound and no motion. They looked at everything and savored everything. Then, wildly, like animals escaped from their caves, they ran and shouting circles. So it's quite the day here with the sun that's come out. Angel, do you know, what does the author compare the children to at the end of 61 here? So at the end of paragraph 61, what are the children compared to? Still there, Angel?
Yeah, what do you
Isn't
say?
it Can I go?
Let him try first. So at the end of 61, do you see where paragraph 61 is?
Hold on. Look down. All right, yeah.
At the very end, the author compares the children who are out in the sun to something. What does she compare them to? It's towards the end.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. I don't even know if I'm looking at the right one.
Do you see paragraph? So paragraph 60 is labeled, and then 61 is going to be right underneath it. It's kind of a bigger one with numbers 10 and 11 in there. Do you see that?
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
what is the author comparing the children to? It's that kind of right at the end there. So they're out in the sun for the first time, and what are they acting like? Look at the last line.
Hold on.
Yeah, take your time.
Like animals.
Yeah, what kind of animals? Same sentence. Animals that what?
That widely escaped.
Yeah, that escaped from their caves. So they're getting compared to these wild animals. Good job, Angel. Just make sure you follow along the rest of the story. How come they're comparing them to wild animals? Who knows?
Because they're like running free because they're like happy.
Yeah, finally free and excited. Like it's just complete chaos of finally being out of this little cage, this room and underground space they've had to live in. And what type of language? This is figurative language, but what kind of figurative language is this? Like animals escape from their caves.
I'd say either metaphor or personification.
Check, there's a word in there that's going to point you in a different direction, I think. So then,
Okay.
wildly, like animals. Yeah, how come?
Because it says like.
Oh yeah, Miss, I'm stupid. Oh my god, I didn't even see that.
No, you're not. You missed. It's just a word. You missed it. You were close though. Metaphor is always close. And there actually is some personification in this paragraph. Milani, do you remember what personification is?
It's like personifications like where like humans and animals, stuff like that. Like I don't know, Miss, something like that. Nature.
Okay, you're close. You're getting there. Does anyone know? Anyone can build off that?
Like getting compared.
Kind of. So things that don't have human or animal qualities get compared to what? Or get given what? Yeah, get given those qualities.
Personification.
Yeah, so they get personal qualities and characteristics that they otherwise wouldn't have. So for instance, the leaves were dancing. Can leaves
Like,
actually dance?
It's like saying like a person's dancing.
Yes, exactly. There's like saying the leaves were blowing in the wind. Like that's what leaves do. They don't dance, but that's a more descriptive way of saying they were blowing or flying around. So there, in the very first sentence of this paragraph, there's an example of personification. Does anyone see it? So it's giving those human-like qualities or traits to something that isn't really living or technically a human.
Wait, Miss what?
I was saying, look in the first line of that paragraph. There's an example of personification there.
Jungle mattress. What?
Okay, so they're describing the jungle floor as a mattress.
Yeah.
Do the floors sigh?
No.
Sighing is what? Something who
Like
does.
a human or
Yeah.
person.
So what are they trying to say about the jungle floor? So I'm going to make a note here for personification. What are they trying to say though? Why make that? Why include that?
Basically, wait. It says jungle mattress. Heard
Yeah.
it.
So they're comparing the jungle floor also to what?
A mattress.
Hmm? How come?
Because
There's like a lot of people on them.
Yeah, and what are they doing there?
they're
Just
playing
running
around.
They're playing around and what do you do on a mattress?
Jump.
Jump,
Jump, and what's the other thing they're doing?
lay down.
Laying down. So they're laying down on this jungle floor, the mattress, and they're hearing
Well, I
it
don't jump on a
sigh.
mattress. I'll probably break it, but
I was gonna say I don't either. I sleep on mine.
Me neither.
little kids jump on it.
But they're
Yeah.
hearing it sigh and squeak. So again, very human-like characteristics. How come it's doing that, or why do they feel like it's doing that? Because what in their minds is it actually filled with right now? The floor of the jungle.
It's filled with like a whole bunch of what's it called? Like those jungle thingies that monkeys swing on.
And why are they squeaking then? Because what has just happened?
And because they just saw the sun.
Yeah, and so everything on the floor is going to be what?
Like green
And what was it? Think of what was going on before though. Imagine it rains for 7 years. What is the grass going to feel like all the time?
Dry and really like, not it. It's just not it.
yeah.
It's going to feel dry if it's raining all the time?
No,
If it's raining all the time,
it's gonna
it's
feel
gonna be
nice.
all
It's gonna feel soft.
Yeah, soft, squeaky, right? So
soggy, moist.
Exactly, that too. So they're saying they hear it, or they almost hear it sighing and squeaking with that like moisture and almost probably that feeling of being alive again. And they say that they hear it underneath them, resilient and alive. So think of, there's some really great description throughout here. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that. So you're right. They're out there, they're living it up, they're breathing in the fresh air, except for who? Who's missing?
Margot.
I know, poor Margot. All right, so paragraph right where it says, or we're on paragraph, what is this? 63. Nope, 62. I can count. They ran for an hour and did not stop running. And then in the midst of their running, one of the girls wailed. Everyone stopped. The girl, standing in the open, held out her hand. Oh, look, she said, trembling. They came slowly to look at her open palm. In the center of it, cupped and huge, was a single raindrop. She began to cry, looking at it. They glanced quietly at the sky. Oh. So we had that moment of the tone and the mood being exciting and alive and freeing, but now we're back to being what? To feeling what? What is the mood back to feeling like? She's trembling, she's quiet, she's crying.
Like dark and depressing.
Depressing.
Back to being just like this depressing mood, right? So we had this quick moment of happiness and then being excited. And now we're back to that solemn kind of melancholy mood. They glanced quietly at the sky. Oh, oh. A few cold drops fell on their noses and their cheeks and their mouths. The sun faded behind a stir of mist. A wind blew cool around them. They turned and started to walk back toward the underground house, their hands at their sides, their smiles vanishing away. A boom of thunder startled them, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. Lightning struck 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile, a half a mile. The sky darkened into midnight in a flash. They stood in the doorway of the underground for a moment until it was raining hard. Then they closed the door and heard the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons and avalanches everywhere and forever. Will it be 7 more years? Yes, 7. Then one of them gave a little cry. Margot. What? She's still in the closet where we locked her. Margot. They stood as if someone had driven them like so many stakes into the floor. They looked at each other and then looked away. They glanced out at the world that was raining now and raining steadily. They could not meet each other's glances. Their faces were solemn and pale. So there's that word we actually said earlier, solemn, that we described as the mood, which is very fitting still for this moment. How are the kids feeling right now? AJ, how are the kids feeling about leaving Margot in the closet? You there, AJ? Yeah,
Me, what happened?
I was asking you a question.
Oh, what happened?
So how do the kids feel right now?
Let me see.
They feel horrible.
Yeah, what she said.
How come, AJ?
Um,
Because I know you're following along, right?
word 2. Yeah, I am.
Then why are you asking me where to?
Because my Wi-Fi went out. Word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. You want me to send you a picture?
No, but come on, you guys, everyone
Silent.
always ask, most people ask me where when I ask them a question. Everyone, if the Wi-Fi went out, I understand.
I said
People's
word
one
2.
responsibility right now is just to follow along. So we are on paragraph 82.
Can I answer?
You can help him once he's gonna try it first, and then you can back it up.
No. I'll be honest, I don't know.
Do you have the story open?
Yeah, of course. We're in paragraph 82. Look, I'm serious. Look, it says, yes, 7. Then one of the gave a little cry. Margaret, what? She was still in the closet when we were locked her.
So read down to 82. You're almost there. What do they feel like when they realize she's still there? Because they're the ones that put her in the closet. So how do they feel once they remember she's still there? Look at paragraph 82.
Feet and faces down. Margaret, the girls on the side. Oh, no one moved. Come on, was with the girl. I don't know. It seems scared.
Yeah, they seem scared. Do they seem like they're still happy that she's there where they put her?
No.
No, how do you think they feel? Not just scared, but they glance
Terrible.
at each other.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
they look confused.
Confused. What else? Who else wants to add to that?
They feel bad about what they did
Yeah, what tells you they feel badly?
because they put her in there and they thought that she was lying about the sun coming out when she was correct about it that whole time.
And how do we know in this paragraph that they feel badly, that they're starting to regret it? What tells you they feel badly in 82? So I highlighted the last part where it says their faces were solemn and pale. What else tells you they feel badly?
They looked at each other and looked away.
Yeah,
Like they didn't
go
say.
ahead. Yeah, they look at each other, they look away. Then it says they can't meet each other's glances. So they feel pretty what?
Bad.
And not even just bad, they almost feel like they can't even look at each other. They feel how?
They feel guilty.
Yeah, they feel pretty ashamed and guilty now for what they've done. So they feel badly and they feel guilty.
I love
So
watching
AJ,
food videos.
and guys, make sure you're putting in your annotation here because it's what you get credit for today. So they feel badly and guilty for what they have done. But unfortunately, it is too little too late. They looked at their hands and feet, their faces down. Margot, one of the girls whispered, well, no one moved. Go on, whispered the girl. They walked slowly down the hall in the sound of the cold rain. They turned through the doorway to the room in the sound of the storm and thunder. Lightning on their faces, blue and terrible. They walked over to the closet door and slowly stood by it. Behind the closet door was only silence. They unlocked the door even more slowly and let Margot out. So definitely a very kind of glum story here. We said that a theme so far was jealousy. Does anyone have any other ideas based on what we know about Margot as a character and even William sometimes as a character, what a theme would be for this story? What's another one? So think about what we know about Margot as a character. How would we describe her again?
She's frail,
Mhm.
lonely.
Okay, so what could be a theme?
Scary theme.
So scary is more of a feeling. Theme is an idea. So if we know she's kind of depressed and thin and frail, and you said she's
Miss,
lonely,
Miss,
a big, yeah.
is it okay if I can use the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, of course. You don't have to ask. You can go ahead. If we know she is kind of a loner and she is bullied constantly, what am I getting at? What could another theme be then based on what we know about her? Using even one of the words we just said. Go back to that word, she's lonely. A lot of this story has to do with her kind of being on her own and nobody believing her and nobody listening to her, and them then putting her by herself into a closet. How could that be turned into a theme? This idea of what? I think you guys know because you've used the word a few times.
Lonely?
So you're on the right track because lonely would describe her. So if we were to take that very same word and make it the idea, what would the idea be? What would the noun of that be?
Popular loner? I don't know.
So we want to use the same word. Lonely is going to work, but what's the version of lonely that is the idea of the story? The story is about. So we wouldn't say the story is about lonely or the story is about happy. What would we say? Because those are feelings or descriptions.
Loneliness?
Yeah, nice job, Maria. So loneliness. So that would be the version that would tell us the idea of the story. So this idea of loneliness. Does that make sense? Maybe. So we wouldn't say ever that the theme is happy because happy is just would be describing someone. The idea that comes from happy is happiness. Same with greed. Or greedy. We wouldn't say the theme is greedy. The theme would be greediness or greed. So very nice. The theme here is loneliness. And I think a lot of you kind of got that, maybe just weren't sure how to make it the full idea. Good, good, good. So we only have about a few minutes left. So what I'm going to ask you do, instead of opening up the assignment that will start tomorrow, we'll go into groups and work on it. And I'm also going to push that little check-in quiz to Friday now, just because tomorrow we'll talk more about, point of view of the story and mood and tone. For the last 5 minutes or 4 minutes, I just want you to work on the assessment questions that are right on Common Lit. So there are 5. You should be able to go through those pretty quickly and then just turn this into me. So we have about 5 or 6 minutes for you guys to finish that. So those are right on Common Lit for you to do. Sound good? And then tomorrow we'll spend most of the day, you'll work in groups to work on this assignment on the story.